Hey there, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the dumbbell alternating bent over row, and we're going to be taking a supinated grip with this exercise today. This is an incredible exercise for your back. It's also going to indirectly be working your biceps and also your rear delts. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that your feet are inside shoulder width. Make sure your back is straight, and you want to bend over at around a 45-degree angle or enough to where the dumbbells are underneath your knees. And then from that position, you want to keep your elbows nice and tucked in. And then you want to actually row up each side, alternate obviously, and make sure you keep your chin tucked. And really think about allowing the back to stretch when you're lowering the weight and contract when you're raising it. Think about driving your elbows to the ceiling while keeping your chest up. At the end of the video, we're going to talk about some of the mistakes and I'll demonstrate it for you. Before we continue with more tips though, here's a word from today's video sponsor.
I'm today's video sponsor, and if you'd like help losing fat or gaining muscle, there are a few ways I can help you down below. Either set up a free consultation with us, purchase through one of our free affiliate links, or purchase one of our instant access affordable training programs. Can't wait to be of service to you. Now let's get back to the rest of the video.
The key thing here is to allow the scapula to move freely. So basically what you want to do is allow the stretch to take place when you're lowering the weight and allow the contraction to take place when you're raising it. So what you don't want to do, and this is what most people would do, is they keep the scapula retracted, meaning that they squeeze their back and then they just allow their arms to extend and flex, which is obviously not effective. It's not as effective. It'll work, but it's not as effective because you're not allowing the muscles to stretch. You're always keeping them contracted. It's basically like an isolation exercise. And we know that isolation exercises are effective, but they're not as effective as adding resistance to a natural movement pattern. So isometric movement is not a natural movement pattern because there's no movement. So you have to make sure that you allow the scapula to move freely by allowing the stretch to take place when you lower it and then allowing the contraction to take place when you raise it. So think about actually squeezing a penny in between your shoulder blades. That's what you should really think about when you're raising it. So allowing the shoulder to dip and then allowing the shoulder to come back. That's what you want to think about. And you also want to make sure that you're doing this exercise in a controlled fashion, that you're not using momentum. Just do it nice and controlled. I'm not saying you have to do like a 40-second negative or anything like that. Just make sure that you're doing it where you're in control of the weight and you actually feel your muscles working. Will your form change as you push yourself more and more? Yes, it's going to change, but it should not change drastically. It should change, slightly, because you want to make sure that you stay safe, but you also want to make sure that you're pushing yourself. And allowing the form to break a little bit is not going to injure you, especially if you know exactly what you're looking for. So here's some mistakes that I want you guys to avoid. The first one is going to be half reps. So you don't want to be doing half reps at the bottom or the top. Just do full repetitions. Don't overcomplicate it thinking that you're going to stimulate new muscle doing this. You're not. Just do full reps. Also, make sure your back stays straight. You don't want to hunch over like this. You don't want to look like a cat. You also want to make sure you don't keep the scapula protracted the whole time. Allow it to retract. Also, keep your chin tucked. You don't want to place any unnecessary strain on your neck by looking up like this. And then lastly, keep those elbows tucked in. Do not allow them to flare up.